What's up, guys? Football season's right around the corner. We got the Hall of Fame game next weekend, and that means it's time to start churning out content. Today, we're going to be doing a full breakdown on somebody I'm really high on, somebody I've stuck a claim on, Sam Howell. If you've been following along, you may remember that about a year and a half ago, when I was grading the 2022 quarterback class, I had Sam Howell not only my quarterback one, which isn't saying much in that class, but I thought he deserved to be the first overall pick. And I think he's the best quarterback prospect I've graded since Justin Herbert, who is the best quarterback prospect I've graded. Now, this is obviously a little bit of a hot take. People don't agree with me. There's guys like Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow who get a lot of acclaim. And Sam Howell is a fifth round pick. So clearly, I'm off market on this one. I see something that a lot of people don't. And there's only one way to explain my thoughts that doesn't sound crazy. I'm just going to show you the film. So, for those of you who aren't familiar, the way that I grade is I watch every single snap. To make sure that there was absolutely no bias, I actually went back this spring and regraded the All 22 of Sam Howell's 2021 season because I did it originally, but now I know the market isn't that high on him. He was a fifth round pick. So I was actively looking to find things I might have been wrong about or a little too optimistic about the first time around, hoping that I would come out with a lesser grade. Spoiler, I didn't. I'm still really high on this kid. And I think he's going to be a really good starting quarterback. I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he'll be a top 5 quarterback, but I think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback by the time this season's over. I think he's going to be really good. While I was watching all those snaps, I couldn't record all of them for you, right? Because then you would have a 5-hour, 6-hour video and you could just watch the film yourself. Instead, I found some that I think were really emblematic or really epitomized certain traits that are important. So we're going to go through a lot of the pertinent traits that I think apply to a quarterback, such as his arm range, his throw velocity. So can he put zip on the ball or touch on it? His accuracy to the deep, intermediate, and short areas of the field, because those are different. His mobility and athleticism, his mental traits such as pocket awareness and pre and post snap processing, his ability to make plays. This is a relatively new trait that I grade, but guys like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, they have something to them. They can extend a play, they can make a play that never existed. And I think it's increasingly important in this league. And then finally, just some strengths and weaknesses, some things that I think affected his ability to produce. Because we've got to remember, after 2020, everybody thought he would be a top 5 pick. And then 2021 happened, and his stats got worse, and UNC didn't win many more games. So what went wrong? Well, it's pretty clear when you watch, and I'll show you. Without further ado, let's get to that film. The first thing we're going to talk about is Sam Howell's range. Now, this is pretty much like arm strength, but it's just how far can he throw the ball. It doesn't really matter how much velocity he puts on it. Now here, he's going to throw a 20-yard out. You'll see he releases the ball at the 39-yard line, and his receiver catches it at the opposite 40. Now that's a 25-yard throw. But you can see he's on his back foot, and he's all the way across the field on these wide college hash marks. So this is actually a really long throw, and it gets there easily, in time, quickly. Here's a more traditional view. Look at him, set up at the back of his pocket at around the 15-yard line, crow hops a little bit, gets to the 18, 19-yard line, and he airs it out as far as he can. Now, he didn't even get his entire body into it. He leaned on his back foot a little bit. That's not great technique. However, the ball still hits the receiver at the opposite 20. So he's throwing the ball roughly 65, 60 yards down the field from opposite hash mark. And no, it's not a good throw. You'll see it again here. He has effortless range. Different play now. He's at his own, that's a 40. He's at the 40-yard line getting hit while he throws. Can't put his body into it whatsoever. And it is a dime. It is a perfect throw on the post. Receiver catches it at the 5-yard line. So we are talking a 55-yard throw off his back foot while being hit. Sam Howell has effortless range. So the way that I grade, a B is an average starter, right? So if I were to say somebody has B arm strength, I'm saying they have the average arm strength of an NFL quarterback who should start. Sam Howell has A minus range. That means that he's around top 10 in the NFL as far as arm power goes, how far he can throw the ball, not velocity. And he's got about a 60-yard range. As long as you're not further than 60 yards away from him, he can hit you. And that's really good. It's not Josh Allen, who's got like 70, 80-yard range, which is nuts, but it's up there. There's certainly no limitations because of his range. Next up, we're going to do velocity. Pretty similar, little different. Let me explain. Velocity is two things. It's zip and it's touch. We're going to start with zip. So that's just how quick is his release, how hard does that ball fly through the air, how fast does he throw it, and what does it allow him to do. So on this rep, you're going to see he's throwing to the receiver at the bottom of the screen, and that cornerback is draped all over him. There's also a linebacker underneath playing a flat drop zone. Now, Howell's able to throw this ball in here, get it past the linebacker who's hip to the play and knows what he has to do to stop it. And he can beat that cornerback who's a backpack. He's effectively being worn like a backpack by his wide receiver. The ball is able to be completed because Howell drives it in there with insane velocity, like a Randy Johnson fastball. Velocity allows you to get away with late reads, like Howell's about to do right here. Let's go the ball to 20. It's going to go about 30 yards in the air, and it's going to be a good completion. And there's soft zone over the top. Now, Howell's a little bit late on this throw. He should have thrown it just a tad earlier, but he gets away with it because he has that excellent drive on the ball. The ball gets out of his hand quicker than it does most players. It also is really helpful for attacking the intermediate level of the field, that area between the linebackers and the safeties. That's not quite a deep ball. You'll see it here. Again, you could argue a tad late, but look at that zip to exploit the zone. That is one of the things that makes Howell so damn special. And on this play, you'll see a tad, like a touch of both. He's got some zip and some of the other aspect of velocity, touch. He allows his receiver to make a catch by taking a little bit off of the ball to make it float and easier to track. See right here, this pass is not completed because this is Sam Howell and UNC we're talking about. Watch him navigate that pocket, take a big hit, and still throw the ball 30 yards downfield. Now, you can't see because we're on the All-22 here, and we can't use broadcast angles because I want to advertise. But on the tight copy, you can see, the receiver just misplays the ball. It's right there to be caught. He just tracked it improperly and maybe fell down a little bit. That touch is going to make it really, really easy to catch fades. It's going to help his receivers track those deep balls. Even though they kept on dropping him at UNC, hopefully guys like Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dodson will have a little bit more luck. I think they will. When it comes to velocity, that combination of zip, touch, and quickness of release, I give Sam Howell an A- again, which is, again, really high-level starting quarterback grade. It's not Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or Anthony Richardson, and it's not Justin Herbert, but it's that next tier below, filled with guys like Trevor Lawrence and even Justin Fields. I usually break accuracy and precision into two different categories. Accuracy is how can he hit those tight windows, and precision is how often does he do it, right? Accuracy is can you hit a bullseye, and precision is how often do you hit a bullseye. I can't show you every throw. I graded 303 for this project alone, plus a few hundred extra for clips that I can't use in this video due to copyright laws. What I can do is highlight his accuracy to the deep, intermediate, and short areas of the field. And I'll show you some throws that I think are pretty telling of what he's capable of and what he tends to do. His accuracy, I give a B+. It's not quite as good as his arm strength is, but he can certainly throw like an above average NFL starting quarterback as far as accuracy goes. And his precision, I think, could use a little bit more work. I gave it a B, which is about NFL starting caliber average. He was accurate on 74.73% of the aimed passes that he attempted in this study, which is better than the 71.1% that the average NFL starter managed in 2022. And it's better than the 70.9% that the average 2023 college football, top 5 prospect managed. But they threw a lot of short passes at North Carolina, as we'll get to later. I think that he could stand to get a little bit better with his accuracy, and if he does, I think he can be really special. That's how he would break into the top 5 quarterback conversation, but for now, he's got work to do. That being said, we'll start with the best piece of his game, the thing that makes him special, and probably a trait that I have not seen a prospect match yet. Drake May and Caleb Williams, pending, of course. His deep accuracy. I give his deep accuracy an A, and I'm about to show you why. This part is fun. Sam Howell has an awesome deep ball, and that arm talent we just talked about allows him to throw what I call moon balls, where he puts the ball up extra high, giving it a lot of arc, so the receiver can run under it, track it easier, catch it easier. It's not breaking any of their fingers like Brett Favre used to do when he was with the Packers. It is nice and soft and buttery, like a Russell Wilson ball or even a Peyton Manning deep ball. Part of what makes Sam Howell's deep ball so good is also that he can just fling it with ease. Watch this throw. So we talked about those moon balls. That's awesome. That's how you throw good streaks. But this deep over route, Howell's letting go of the ball at the 39-yard line of his own side of the field. He drives this ball like he's throwing a 10-yard curl to the opposite 19. So a little quick math. 40 plus 20 is 60. This is a 42-yard throw in the air. And it hits his receiver in stride. Let's watch that one more time. This is an unreal throw. And he makes it look really easy. That kind of deep accuracy is special. Now, there are issues with his deep ball. Here, you can see is a little late. He has his receiver, he's winning over the top right here, you can see. But the ball's underthrown, and it's a little late. He should have let go of it about a half tick earlier. And because he gets reckless and he throws this ball late anyway, it gets picked off in double coverage, or at least it should have. I don't know what that flag was for. I know the defensive back dropped it, but I call that a pickable. Here again, he's got an open man. All you got to do is lay it in there a step earlier. Instead, Howell throws it out of bounds. So even though I give him an A on his deep ball, it's not an A+, and it's not God tier, because sometimes he makes mistakes. Another issue he has is that sometimes he will underthrow his deep balls. When he misses on deep balls, it's typically because they're too short rather than too long. And that will lead to balls fluttering on him and balls that are more easily pickable. Now, just because I said that he has great touch and he throws a great deep ball doesn't always mean it's caught. A big reason for the drop in production at UNC his junior year, his final year, is all these drops. They're all over the tape. It's enough to make you scream. Like, look at these gorgeous deep balls that would be touchdowns that hit his receivers in the fingertips and just clank to the ground. And yes, some of them are difficult catches. Now, in Sam Howell's one game in the NFL, we actually saw all three things that I just talked about. First, he has a great deep ball. This is a perfectly thrown elite pass, right on the hands, huge gain. This is the kind of play that changes a drive. Remember when I said that when he does miss, he typically tends to underthrow? Well, a clear win right off the snap, and Howell throws the Joe Flacco special. McLaurin toasts his corner immediately, but Howell underthrows it off his back foot, doesn't get the arm through the pressure like he should, and it ends up being underthrown. Now, gets bailed out, defensive pass interference, Joe Flacco special, but we grade that as bad because it's bad. If you do that 10 times, it's going to end up hurting you most of the time. Finally, it wouldn't be a Sam Howell clip if we didn't have a drop. Here's another great deep ball. Wasn't the easiest catch, I guess. You know, you got to get vertical or get horizontal a little bit, but you got to have that ball. So we move from the A deep ball to the A- intermediate ball. Howell has really good zip, as we spoke about earlier, and he can fire balls to the middle of the field, some of which I've already shown you. We'll show this clip again. Just really good mobility and ability to drive the ball regardless of where his feet are. That's how you win at the second level. The second level is behind the linebackers, above, but below the safeties. Howell's not the best intermediate thrower I've seen. That's actually where Trevor Lawrence is going to be a little bit better, and Justin Herbert is unstoppable. But he's really, really good. I think these intermediate throws are probably the most underrated in the NFL. Like, I think that this is how you really move the chains. That being said, sometimes he can be a little late. And this is more a matter of processing than it is actual accuracy. But here you can see he's so close to throwing a gorgeous touchdown pass, and it just glances off the fingertips of the defender because he doesn't quite lead his receiver enough. Misses high and inside here. So it's not perfect. That being said, there is no Sam Howell highlight package that doesn't involve drops. Once again, A- on middle accuracy. Let's talk about short accuracy. So one of the knocks on Sam Howell coming out is that they ran a lot of RPOs at North Carolina, and RPOs look sick, but as you can see here, they're actually really easy. And Sam Howell's great at throwing RPOs, but he did have a fairly high cheap play rate. Cheap plays are those dinks and dunks and RPOs and easy stuff that every quarterback can do. It's what makes Brock Purdy and Jimmy G so efficient, and Kyle Shanahan's offense, it's easy stuff. This being said, Sam Howell is really, really good at throwing RPOs, and when you throw them with great velocity downfield and perfect ball placement, you can rip off huge plays. And he does that. So amongst RPO throwers, he might be one of the very best in the NFL already. He's very accurate to the short, just like damn near every NFL quarterback. Throws with proper zip. I don't think he's a special short accuracy thrower. I don't think you want him throwing high volume short passes like you might a Justin Herbert, just because I don't think he's precise enough. And he will make a mistake every once in a while. He is a little bit of a mistake prone player, and I'm okay with that so long as he's still hitting the big plays, just like Josh Allen. I give him a B for his short accuracy. And we can see that he's still a really good RPO thrower in the NFL. I mean, it's pretty wide open RPO, but it's in time. He's comfortable with the ball handling. It's easy. You'll see from the tight copy, RPOs are just easy. Next up, we got mobility. Now, Sam Howell ran for about 900 yards in his junior year, which is astounding. It's more than like most running quarterbacks ever accomplish in a year. But a lot of people wondered if that would translate to the NFL because let's face it, he's not that fast, right? But he runs like a fullback. He breaks a lot of tackles. And he's very good at running. Like, he gets it. That being said, I don't think that he's like a runner. I don't think that his 900 college yards as junior year are indicative of how he does play or should play. But you can see right there, he's a grown-ass man. He's a thick man. He stiff-armed that safety right to the ground. And he can really rip off some plays. I mean, it's not just like tough Tebow-esque grinding. He can break some things off. In fact, we saw in the NFL in his one game, he was a pretty damn effective runner, and he has a good eye for when he can and should run. I do worry that he runs too often, and he does pull his eyes down sometimes, or at least did at North Carolina, and run too quickly. But I think that that's a product of having a terrible cast. I think that in the NFL, with better support and a better system, he will be more of a passer, and I think that that's a good thing. For mobility, I give Sam Howell a B+. He's a better than average runner as an NFL quarterback, as an NFL starting quarterback, but he's no Justin Fields. He's a little faster than like a Trevor Lawrence, and that's effective. It's just enough. Next up, let's talk about his pocket awareness, his pocket IQ. So I break mental traits into 3 or 4 categories. It's your pocket awareness, it's your pre-snap reads, it's your post-snap reads, and it's your playmaking ability. It's really hard to grade all of these for Sam Howell just because his offense was so messy, his offensive line was so bad, and his receivers never got open. But you can see here, as far as pocket awareness goes, Sam Howell shows really, really good ability to navigate the pocket and keep his eyes up looking for the throw. Constantly at UNC, he had to sift through terrible, terrible lines. And he took a lot of sacks because of it, but I don't think many of them were his fault. You can see here, by the time he's done with his play fake, he's already getting blown up. That's not on him. I had Sam Howell as having 3.3% negative sacks, so ones that I blame him for, and that's almost exactly in line with your average NFL starter or your average 2023 quarterback prospect. Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, same damn thing. So for pocket IQ, I give Sam Howell a B+, but I do worry that he might have a problem with scrambling a little too soon or taking sacks he shouldn't, because I can't tell what he would do in a functional system. I can only tell you I don't blame him for how bad his old one was. Now, when it comes to pre-snap reads can be a lot of things. It's mostly just, is he getting to the proper receiver? Is he looking to the proper side of the field? And that's hard to illustrate. But one thing that he does really well is adjust protections and call audibles at the line. So on this play, it looks really simple, but you'll see, first of all, he's coming up to the line and he's organizing his protections. He's telling his line, hey, they have a muddy 6-man front. Here's what we're going to block up. And he's getting the ball out quick, understanding where his reads are. You can also see his head is bobbing from one side to the other. That's because he is manipulating the defense and finding his man, getting the ball out quickly, operating the offense. That's good stuff. You can also see on this play, this is his post-snap reads. Here, the play is developed fully. Sam Howell starts on his right. Watch his head. He first, after the play fake, looks to his right. He sees immediately his streak is not currently winning, so he looks to his left to see what's going on the other side of the field. This is a full field 3-man progression, and he works it slowly, and he takes a lot of time, but with max protection, because he's got 6 men blocking for him, he can afford that. And he finds the proper man, gets the ball out a little late. It was a deliberate process, but he eventually got to the right man. Here, he does an incredible job. This is some of the best post-snap processing I've seen him do. This is as a true sophomore. He starts right, it's not there. Looks left, it's also not there. Resets under pressure in a muddy pocket and finds his man over the middle, throws him a nice stop ball to make sure he doesn't get hit by the incoming safety either. That's really, really good process. Sam Howell shows the ability to be really, really smart after the snap, but he also shows the ability to make some mistakes. You've seen this play already. It's a little late. It works. He gets away with it, but it's a little late, and you'd like to see him just be a quarter of a second quicker. Again, you see the pocket manipulation. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to hang with safeties and keep them where he wants them. He's not a genius at it. He's no Matt Stafford yet, but he is young. And again here, just late. A little late, and being a little late is really bad. Being a little late is why Justin Fields is one of the worst passers in the NFL, despite actually being pretty accurate in a vacuum. Here in the red zone, this is a problem that you see with Howell sometimes. This is kind of reckless. The play is a called screen, and this is his junior year. The offense was just a wreck all the time. It was always chaotic, always messy. Assignments are getting blown, but you can see clearly. Look at this linebacker. NC State knows what's coming. Howell throws the screen anyway, and he throws it directly into traffic. Now, it's not really his fault. He didn't make a bad decision. He didn't throw an inaccurate ball. But that's a pick, or at least it should be. That's a pickable ball because he blindly followed what the scheme called for. Now, you see some of these processing mistakes at the next level as well. Here in the red zone, where things are the most difficult. It's not like Sam Howell struggles in the red zone. It's just every quarterback has a harder time processing in the red zone, and it shows up more often. Here you can see he's got an outlet to his left. He's got an outlet to his right. And instead he floats the ball to his primary read. It's very inaccurate. It was triple coverage. He shouldn't have done that. It's his debut game against a very good defense who's playing for their playoff seeding. But you got to be better than that. It breaks down thusly. Pocket IQ, B+, above average NFL starter. Pre-snap reads, I give him an A-. He operates the offense well. He calls audibles. He modifies protections. That's advanced stuff from a guy who was just a junior. So he strikes me as a smart guy pre-snap. And then post-snap, iffy. I give him a B, which is NFL starting average. It's fine. But we see the really good stuff, the slow but deliberate full field progressions. That's what Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott do. They're not quick thinkers necessarily, but they always get it right. That's one way to be a good processing quarterback post-snap. The other way is to be quicker, take a little bit more risk, but more efficient. He shows that too sometimes. He shows flashes of being a really, really good post-snap processor. It's just not consistent. And I think that it's because the offensive line was a wreck, the play calling was chaotic, and the receivers stunk. So for post-snap processing, I'm going to give Howell a B. But it could be a lot better, or it could be more worrisome. That's kind of the wild card. I think we've seen him in a functional system with decent weapons and competent blocking in 2019 as a true freshman and 2020 as a sophomore. He was really, really good. Like, people thought he'd be a top 5 pick. All right, the final category we're going to go into is playmaking. Sam Howell's really creative, and he made a lot of chicken salad out of what his team was made of. He's really good at navigating pockets, throwing from different kinds of platforms, utilizing that arm talent, and his accuracy doesn't fall off that much. As I mentioned earlier, he pulled his eyes down and ran quite a bit, and I think he actually did pretty damn well. I mean, the 900 yards he ran for would indicate that it wasn't the worst idea. And I don't think that he would do it at the next level as often. I think that it was more a product of being in a bad spot. You'll see on a lot of these plays that he is just up a creek without a paddle. Now, one of my issues is that he will pull his eyes down a little too early. Now, this is a good play, right? He scrambles, avoids pressure, and throws the ball to an open receiver. That's impressive for what it is. However, I know 91 is chasing him down, but at this point, he's already turned the corner and he's open. Now, the reason that Howell doesn't see number 11 right here in the middle of the field breaking open for what would have been a touchdown is because he's thinking about running, and he's looking at these two defensive backs wondering, can I get them? Well, he probably could get them, but he definitely should have just stopped, set his feet, thrown the ball to 11, who was wide open, kept it in the air just a half a tick longer, and gotten the touchdown. That being said, I'm going to show this play as many times as you let me. Sam Howell's got the goods. Keeps his eyes up, sees the zone, exploits the zone. This is the kind of Sam Howell you want to see. It's the Sam Howell I believe will be prominent in a better situation with professional players who are competent. But there is some insecurity in my evaluation, because what if he just is a reckless hero ball player? Some quarterbacks are. But come on, look at this. As a sophomore, get real. Rolls out, avoids the easy pressure, on the run, flicks it 50 yards, dime. In the NFL, Sam Howell has the same exact profile. We've got 2 plays here from his one game that show it perfectly. Here, Sam Howell bails early. Yes, I know Micah Parsons coming on the backside, but he could have slid up and threw this ball to Terry McLaurin over the middle of the field, gotten at least down close to the goal line. Instead, he rolls out because he panicked and he thinks he has to do everything. He's playing hero ball again. And once again, Terry McLaurin's going to curl back and come open over the middle of the field, or at least close to open. And Sam Howell's not going to be looking at him. He's going to be looking at the defensive backs wondering, can I house this? He puts his arm down, he takes an unnecessary hit for no yardage, despite the fact McLaurin's pretty open, and you can always throw the ball away and not get hit. This is bad process. This is him getting a little too cute, feeling himself too much, and thinking he has to do everything when he doesn't. And hero ball is how good quarterbacks make bad plays. But here we see, again, instant pressure off the backside. Micah Parsons wrecking pockets the way he does in the interior. Howell runs left, opens up some space, relocates his receiver, and throws a nice pass to get to the goal line. So the playmaking is still there, but the worries have not dissipated yet. Granted, this is his first NFL game against a good defense late in the year when everybody's in stride, and he was a rookie. I'm optimistic. I give his playmaking ability an A-. So after all this, the question is Sam Howell so good? Why'd he go in the 5th round? Either I must be wrong or the NFL's wrong, right? And you should probably trust the NFL over a guy on YouTube, right? Well, I think the reason that Sam Howell slipped in the draft is because his junior year, he lost 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a bunch of his offensive linemen graduated. And everything fell apart. So he just didn't have help. And a lot of the time, he created without any help. He became a runner out of nowhere. Nobody thought Sam Howell could be a running quarterback. He was a pocket passer. And then he ran for 900 yards out of necessity. His offensive line stunk. His wide receivers loved dropping balls. They gave him no help. And he still managed to put up pretty decent stats. They weren't as good as his sophomore year, but they were good. You'll see here, nobody's open. Let's check it out. Yeah, he took sacks, and that's never good. But where is he supposed to throw this ball? Nobody even got open after he was sacked, much less before. He had no chance. I've showed you a lot of plays in which his team just totally let him down, and I think that made him a little bit reckless, leading to negative plays and lesser stats. But I also think that he was just running around trying to make something happen a lot of the time, and even if he does a good job, like on a couple of these plays, it's gonna look bad on the stat sheet. Balls being snapped at the wrong time, throwing the ball away, that's a good play, but it looks like an incompletion. So his stats are naturally going to be worse. That being said, like if you look at his PFF grade, and I certainly don't think PFF is great at grading quarterbacks. I don't value their quarterback grading that much at all, actually. But they gave him a 92.3. That's like as good as Bryce Young and CJ Stroud had in their final years in college. And they were drafted top 2. This guy went 5th round? It doesn't make sense, especially when you factor in the fact that he's got better physical skills. You factor in the fact that he has produced at a high level against strong competition on a bad team. I gave Sam Howell a 2.8 draft grade, which puts him right at the top amongst guys like Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, etc. I think he's going to be a really good NFL quarterback if he gets a fair shot in Washington. And I think that he's got great receivers, a decent enough offensive line, and Eric Bieniemy could be really good. If it all comes together, we're looking at a dude who's going to shock a lot of people. I think Sam Howell is a really good NFL quarterback prospect because he's got excellent arm talent in terms of range and velocity. The zip, the touch, the release, it's all very good. He's also got pretty good legs. They're not great. You certainly don't want to be running the Greg Roman offense with him. Quarterback runs all the time. But just in terms of his physical traits, he's a very good prospect, even though he's only 6'1". It's plenty tall enough. It's a half inch shorter than Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that he's wanting for height either. As far as accuracy goes, Sam Howell has a very accurate deep ball, one of the best we've seen in a long time from a prospect, and he's pretty good to the intermediate as well. The short game, he could use some work, but on RPOs, he is exceptionally accurate. His ball placement is very good. His precision could use a little bit of work. He's not as consistent as I would like, but a lot of that is because he was constantly operating in chaos. His footwork gets messy. He starts trying to play hero ball, and things go wrong for him. Unlike dudes like CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, or going back a little further, Mac Jones, who were put in situations to succeed with easier, cleaner looks and supporting casts that didn't mess everything up. From his mental traits, now this is where it gets tricky because on one hand, Sam Howell shows us a lot of examples of him being a really high level, savvy mental quarterback, but he also does some things, playing some hero ball, pulling his eyes down too quickly, being late on reads that worry you. Now, I'm impressed, and I think that he'll end up becoming a very good mental trait starting quarterback in the NFL. It might take a tiny bit of time to unlearn some of those trauma responses from his disaster offensive line and his nobody receiving core. Finally, the playmaking. This is the fun stuff, the stuff that makes Deshaun Watson an ESPN top 10 darling, what makes Patrick Mahomes one of the all-time most adored quarterbacks already. I think that Sam Howell's got a lot of that playmaking in him. He had to improvise. Maybe once upon a time he would have been more of a pocket statuesque quarterback, but after that junior year of having to run around for his life and make things happen on a team with a terrible defense and a chaotic offense, he certainly learned how to be a good, creative post-snap quarterback. Whether it's creating an angle to throw a ball into a window that shouldn't be there, or it's just surviving for an extra second when your offensive line is allowing a deluge of pass rushers at you. What do you guys think? You think I'm crazy? You think I'm missing something? Why did Sam Howell go in the 5th round? Personally, I think I'm going to be posting this video quite a bit on Twitter or X in a few months when Sam Howell's blowing up the league and everybody's saying, who could have seen this coming? Me. I saw this coming. If you want to figure out what's coming next, follow along. I'm going to put some links to some other videos I've made here. And hopefully you like this analysis. This one went a little long. I might make a shorter one for all of those that have a little bit shorter attention spans. But until then, you know me. I'll be grinding film. Hasta.